So, the coronavirus in Australia, compared to other countries such as China, Italy, Spain, it hasn't been anywhere near as severely impactful yet. But increasingly, day by day, we are starting to see measures that are suggesting that this is quite serious. So, for example, the Australian government, the Prime Minister, a few days ago announced that gatherings of more than 500 people would be banned, and then that was recently minimised again to 100 people in indoor gatherings. Um, in terms of schools and universities, so most universities have got rid of their physical campus teaching, and most of that is now online. In terms of primary schools and high schools, most of them are still operating, and the reasoning behind that is if students do have to stay at home, then they may have to be looked after by their grandparents, and that puts one of the most at risk age categories in direct contact with children who may be carrying the virus, and also healthcare workers that might be parents would have to take time off work when they're needed in the healthcare system to look after their children. If we look at some other government responses at the moment, in terms of travel, anyone who enters the country now has to self-isolate for 14 days, irrespective of whether they've come into contact with someone who's a confirmed case of COVID-19 or not. And the official travel advice for any Australian is do not travel overseas. And this has had a lot of economic impacts. So the major airline carrier in Australia, Qantas, has today announced that they're cancelling all international flights. And in line with that, we've seen banks cutting interest rates. We're seeing a lot of economic uncertainty as we head towards a possible recession. So those who are on welfare payments, so pensioners, students on youth allowance, they will receive a $750 payment, so that I guess the economy can be stimulated a bit to try and circumvent this recession. In terms of everyday practices, when you walk on the street, you don't notice much difference. The streets aren't in lockdown or anything like that, but a noticeable difference has been the supermarkets. So there are quite a few items that at the moment are not in stock. And it's not because there's a lack of production, it's because of people that are panic buying. And the Prime Minister has blatantly told people to stop doing this, but it's happened for items such as toilet paper, for pasta, for rice, and there are now limits on those ingredients as well as others like eggs and milk. So consumers are being told to just buy what they need for a few days. And this was especially a concern for the elderly and those who may not be able to get to the shops as often because they get there and the essentials would be taken up by people who are stockpiling. So one good initiative that the supermarkets have introduced is that from the first hour of trading, so 7 to 8 a.m, only the elderly and those with a disability are allowed into the stores, and they have first access to the supplies, especially the essential supplies, before they get depleted.